In this video, I'm giving you the exact prompt engineering framework that professional prompt engineers and AI automation agencies use to create fully automated systems. So before we get into the framework, I just want to break down the difference here between conversational and single-shot prompting. So conversational prompting is probably what you've used before if you've used ChatGPT for any sort of research project. Okay, this is human operated, so you can have that back and forth conversation with the model to get the answer that you're looking for. It's very forgiving in that way, and it's fine for personal use. So if you're just looking to use large language models for personal projects, that's fine most of the time. But if you want to build foolproof AI automated systems, you can't afford to have those follow-up prompts. It needs to happen first time correctly every time. There's not really any kind of room for error, and that allows it to be scalable and is ideal for building AI assisted systems. Okay, so for this video we're going to be using an example of an AI lead qualification system for a marketing agency specializing in dental practices. Okay, this gives you a really basic overview of the sorts of systems that we can build when you build these perfect prompts. Obviously this is a bit of a simplified kind of breakdown of the system, but it gives you a general idea. So to begin with, you'd have a lead form where clients or potential clients can fill out a form that would be plugged into an LLM step that classifies and researches the leads based on the information it's been given, and then it would automatically split it into either qualified lead or not a qualified lead, then automatically send an email depending on the outcome, and then if they are qualified it would also send a message to the sales rep to let them know they've got a new lead. Okay, so this is the example we'll be using. So here's the framework. Okay, you can see we've broken it down into role, task, specifics, context, examples, and notes. Now the reason we're going through this framework is because fundamentally you need to know why and how this works. If you don't understand that, then when you come across problems building these systems, you're not going to know how to solve them. So that's what we're going to kind of go through today. So to begin with, we have role. Okay, so this is where we're basically telling the LLM who it is and what they're doing. So we're assigning them a specific role to play during the interaction, and it helps to immerse the model in the character almost, so that it improves performance for downstream tasks. So a good tip is to try using real life examples of experts in the field that are well known on the internet. That can help kind of boost the accuracy as well. So for our example, we've got, you are an expert lead qualification specialist, skilled at analyzing businesses with precision and thoroughness, with a knack for identifying key characteristics of a business. Okay, now based on the research that people have done on LLMs, just adding this simple sentence defining the model's role can lead to 15 to 25% increases in accuracy for more complex tasks. So quite an important step to begin with. Next we have task. Okay, now this is what most people would just chuck into a ChatGPT and expect them to get a perfect answer. Okay, but this is basically a direct description of what you want it to achieve. Now best practice, we would use chain of thought prompting. So this is where we are breaking down the steps that we want it to take bit by bit. Okay, so for our example here, we have your task is to evaluate potential business leads to determine if they are a good fit to work with our company. Specifically, you should analyze the provided business information with accuracy and attention to detail. Identify key characteristics of the business, including industry, number of employees, and yearly revenue. Third, we want to assess the fit. So in our example, we're going to say that qualified leads are going to be above $500,000 in revenue. They have between 5 and 10 employees, and they're in the dental industry. And then based on that, we want to then decide whether the lead is either qualified or not qualified based on the criteria. Now, again, research shows up to 90% increases in accuracy for complex tasks by adding this chain of thought prompting. So quite important that we use that there. Next we have specifics. So this is where you have a chance to list out kind of important notes in terms of the execution of the task. This can be, for example, we want it to just say qualified or not qualified, just those labels. We don't want any fluff or extra text which often ChatGPTs can provide as the output, but that can cause issues with our AI automated system. So we're just telling the AI that we don't want that extra fluff. We just want qualified or not qualified. For this, a list format tends to be better because we can come back and add or change parts of the list when we're testing and adjusting the prompt. Now, a great tip here is to use something called a motion prompt. So this sounds kind of crazy when you first hear about it, but the research shows that by adding 1 or 2 sentences, basically hyping the AI up and telling it how important their job is, it can lead to up to 115% increases in accuracy for complex tasks, which is insane. So literally something like, this task is vital to my career and the success of the business, and I greatly value your thorough analysis. Just that sentence, 1 or 2 sentences like that, can boost the accuracy by 115%, which is crazy. So it would be stupid not to include that in your prompt. Now, next is context. So we're basically telling the model what the environment it's operating in and why it's doing that specific task. So we're combining earlier techniques like role prompting just to further clarify what it's doing and why. And again, a motion prompt can be used here a second time. So for our example, we've got our company provides marketing services for the dental industry. We receive a high volume of potential clients through our website's contact form. Your role in classifying these leads into qualified or not qualified based on our criteria is essential for our sales team to prioritize their efforts and respond to inquiries in a timely manner. By accurately classifying leads in this way, you directly contribute to the growth and success of the company. Therefore, we greatly appreciate and value your careful consideration and attention to classification. So you can see we're adding that emotion prompt again at the end just for that extra boost in performance and hyping the AI up. So next comes examples. This is where we're providing a set of input and output examples that we want the AI to kind of replicate. Okay, so for this we want to use something called few shot prompting. So all that means is we're adding more than one example into the prompt, which gives it more to work off. So 3 to 5 is a good start, but for more complex tasks, you might want to consider more, with the research showing that significant improvements can be found with 10 to 32 examples. But to be honest, for most tasks, 3 to 5 is fine. And again, 15% increase in accuracy for more complex tasks is what the research is telling us. You can see for our little example here are some examples of examples. So you can see we've got the input that it's going to be receiving and then what the output we want from that example is. Because we have, in this case, we have 2 different output examples of qualified or not qualified, we want to make sure that we're adding examples for both. Okay, so depending on the tool you're building, there could be more potential outputs, and you want to make sure that you're adding examples for each possible output. So just to go through the first one, we've got industry is dental practice, so that's check. Number of employees is 7, which is between our 5 and 10 threshold, that's check. And then lastly, their revenue is $500,000 to $1 million, which is good for us. So that's going to be a qualified lead in this case. Okay, so you can have a look through the other examples yourself. And then lastly, last part of the framework is notes. Okay, so this is the last chance to remind the model of the key aspects of the task and to add any kind of final details. So this is going to be things like how you want it formatted, the tone or the style that you want the output to be in if relevant. And you can add negative prompting here as well, so specific things you don't want it to do. A key tip is to keep this short to begin with, and then when we're testing and tweaking the prompt, we can come back and add to it or change things later. So for our example, we've just got 3 simple bullet points. Okay, so the first one being, please provide the lead classification only and only the label as your response. So again, just drilling into the model that we don't want any extra fluff or text. Then we've got, do not include any personal information from the form in your response, fine. And then lastly, if you're unsure of the classification system, assign a needs attention label. So just adding a bit of an error fallback in case it's not really sure what to do. Now, the reason we add the notes in at the end is because of something that's well known within large language models, which is the lost in the middle effect. So you can see this is based on a research paper that's been done on ChatGPT. You can see that for longer prompts, it takes information that's put at the beginning of the prompt more seriously, and then it kind of dips off in the middle, but then we have a bit of an uptick at the end. So stuff that's stuck in the middle can tend to get overlooked by the model, which is why we put the notes at the end just as a final reminder for it to pay attention to. in terms of how we want it formatted and the style and so on. Okay, so this is why we add the notes at the end. The last thing to touch on really is something called markdown formatting. So this is not part of the framework. This is just us formatting the prompt in a way that makes it easier for the model to understand. So by using headings and subheadings, it just makes it easier to read, basically. So we can use h1 tags by adding a hashtag at the start of the text, and then subheadings with h2 and h3 tags with either 2 hashtags or 3 hashtags, okay? And then we can emphasize important words by making them bold, basically. Now that you've kind of understood the fundamentals of what makes a perfect prompt, I've actually linked below a template tool in a software called Relevance AI, which I'll just show you how to use in a second. But this is going to be a fundamental software that you're going to use if you're building AI systems. If you click on the link down below, you'll be brought to this page. Okay, this is on Relevance AI, and what you can do is just hit this clone button in the top to add it to your own account. What this basically does, I'll just show you kind of behind the scenes here. So what this is doing is it's taking we're going to add in some use case information. We're going to add a few examples, and then what it's going to do is it's going to run it through the this LLM step, where the framework we've just gone through is kind of baked into the step, and then it's going to output the prompt. So you can see that kind of saves us the entire process of writing the entire prompt. We can put in a bit of information here, which will be a lot quicker, and then it's going to spit out the entire prompt in this format and with the markdown formatting as well. So I'll just show you an example. So for our example, I'll just say this will be a vision system to apply agency marketing services for the practices our vision. Criteria is practices that are getting above 5,000 between 5 to 10 employees. Yep. Fine. System needs to subsidies and make label of either qualified or not qualified. It's a short issue and needs attention. Okay, and then you can see I've added in the input-output examples that we talked about earlier. Now all I'm going to do is click Run Tool. Okay, and a few seconds later we can see that we've been given the prompt with the exact framework. Okay, so you can see we've gone from just this little bit of input, a few examples, and it spit out the prompt in the exact framework. Okay, so all you need to do, like I say, click the link in the description, click clone, and you can use this tool yourself.